It's still fall. I'll stand by that. It's October 9th right now, so we are not quite into winter just yet, folks, even up here in the great state of Maine. So, I feel okay doing Saranac's German Roots variety pack today. I might not get this posted right off, so you might be seeing it more towards mid or late November, but you know what? I'm still counting it as fall instead of winter. So, German Roots from Saranac. I did come across this one. It looked interesting. 12 beers. It's a 12 pack, of course, but there's only 4 varieties in here. 2 new ones, though, which are the 1888 Pils and Das Boot. It says here, Black Forest is only available in the German Roots 12 pack, so maybe they've done this previous years. I seem to remember seeing it before. I'm sorry, guys. I am still looking for the Sierra Nevada Fall Pack. It has not shown up in any of my local stores. I'm hoping maybe we'll get it at a discount because other places weren't able to sell it. And I got a couple places around here that snap up those bargains. So I'm hoping, still hoping, that I will find the Sierra Nevada Fall Pack because it came highly recommended by a couple of viewers, and I'm trying to track it down, but I have limited options around here. Anyway, we're not talking about Sierra Nevada. We're talking about Saranac's German Roots pack. So, here's the order we're going to do this in. And I'm putting an Oktoberfest first, which is not normal. Normally, I put an Oktoberfest towards the middle of a lineup because it tends to be more flavorful, but here's why. We've got this Oktoberfest, and then we've got Das Boot, which is a Vienna-style lager. So I'm anticipating a little bit more malty character from that beer, and I don't want to overshadow it even with a nice spicy Oktoberfest. And then Black Forest, which is a black lager. And finally, we're going to follow that up with the 1888 Pils. And I'm putting a Pils after darker, heavier style beers. Yes, the reason for that being that Pils is the only one out of here that isn't sitting at 20 IBUs. All 3 of these others are 20 IBUs. The Pils is at 30, which isn't hoppy enough to really throw you off, but it's still 10 points higher in terms of IBUs than the other beer's hoppiness. So I'm a little worried that maybe it's going to be significantly hoppy enough versus the others that it's going to throw me off, and my palate will be wrecked with the hoppiness. So I will be cleansing with water in between each of these. You're not going to see that on film. I'll try not to draw it out any more than I already have with my babbling so far. So, just to give you a little idea of the thought process in the lineup, without further ado, we are going to hit the 1888 Oktoberfest. I'm not sure the significance of the number on 1888 Oktoberfest and Pils. Maybe it's the date the brewery used on it. No, that's way too early. But maybe it has something to do with the recipe. I don't know. 1888 Oktoberfest from Saranac. Now, these guys have put out some pretty solid beers consistently. I think I've done several of their variety packs before. That has got a nice golden brown color to it. I know the lighting in here is horrible. Hopefully the audio is better than it has been because I'm using the GoPro mic directly instead of the external mic, which seemed to be picking up a lot of electronic interference from the wiring in this place. Anyway, I thought I said I was going to stop babbling, but that is an intensely effervescent beer. There's almost like a vortex of bubbles coming up from that cavitation point, because if you look, nucleation point, and I know better, but I keep saying cavitation because I got so used to saying it wrong. But there's almost like a vortex of bubbles coming up from that nucleation point because the column of bubbles is shifting. Yeah, between the color of the beer entrancing me and those bubbles, I could stare at this damn thing all night. It's beautiful. Love it. Slightly cloudy. Gets a little bit darker, more golden brown, with maybe a bit of a reddish tinge up here where the beer gets thicker. So that's cool. Ooh, that's a nice toasty aroma. there's some kind of spice in there I can't identify. It's a sweet yet bitter spice aroma. But overall, just a nice general toastiness. Oh. Man. You'd never go wrong with a solid Oktoberfest. I mean, I'm a big fan of hoppy beers. I'm a big fan of heavier, darker beers. But your fall Oktoberfests, when they're really well done, they're perfect any time of the year, frankly. But I mean, now, it's a rainy day. There's piles of leaves outside. There's that nice, organic, wet leaves in piles smell. It's unique. And it just... well, there's nothing else like it. But a good Oktoberfest, I feel, is reminiscent of that smell in the air. You get that flavor from the beer, and that's what I'm getting. I got a nice pile of wet leaves. That smell is right here in the taste. It's like this toasty, organic flavor. Again, there's some slight spiciness to it, some kind of fall spice that I can't quite identify. Maybe it's just plain nutmeg, because it's got a little bit of bitterness on the back end. So maybe it's just nutmeg. Because nutmeg alone doesn't have any sweetness to it. It's got that fall spiciness and then a bit of bitterness on the back end of it. And that's what I'm getting from this. But again... just so reminiscent of that wet pile of leaves, that smell in the air. I get that flavor from the beer, and then that slight hint of a spice that I can't quite put my finger on, with some bitterness to it. It's damn good. It's damn good. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I've had the 1888 Oktoberfest before, but for some reason today it's really hitting me harder than it normally does. I hit this with a solid 4 out of 5. It's a good Oktoberfest. I'm a fan of Oktoberfests. I'm getting that one specific type of flavor to it. Those two flavors, if you count the nutmeg and whatever that fall spice is, maybe 3. But it's standing out from the crowd as being a really good, solid Oktoberfest. Pardon. It's actually evoking an emotional response and a memory associated with the taste. Ooh, pardon. But it's not quite at the point where I'm going, wow, or I'm getting blown away by it, but I'm as close to that as I can be. So on a scale of 1 to 5, a 2.5 is average, so a 4 is pretty damn good. That's where I'm sitting with this one. I am going to finish it up, cleanse with some water, and then we will move on to Das Boot. Alright, and next up is Das Boot. Come on. Das Boot. Look at the label. It's in a boot-shaped glass on the label. I wish I had a freaking Das Boot to pour this into right now, because come on. That is like one of the most classic references ever, and I'm sure it was a thing of some sort before Beer Fest, but you know, you can't beat that movie. If you have not seen Beer Fest by Broken Lizard, check it out. Same guy's responsible for Super Troopers and Super Troopers 2. Hilarious stuff. The Slammin' Salmon, Club Dread, and their college movie Puddle Cruiser, which wasn't quite up to par with the comedy of the others I mentioned, but still a worthy movie of viewing. Broken Lizard. These guys, the guys are fucking hilarious. Check out Beer Fest if you like beer at all. But anyway, Das Boot, Vienna style lager. Again, I wish I had a Das Boot to pour it into, because that would look awesome. It's got much more orange tinge than the previous beer. It's less effervescent though. There's a lot fewer bubbles coming up from that nucleation point. But got a nice amber orangish color to it. Still a good looking beer even without the effervescence. Yeah, now I'm not even seeing any bubbles coming up from that nucleation point. So, oh, there's a few. Very, very few. Interesting. You know, like a hint of crisp fall air. But nothing significant in the aroma. Vienna style lager. I'm not sure what that's actually supposed to taste like, but it's got a nice, solid, malty taste to it. Bit of a medium mouthfeel, similar to the Oktoberfest, the 1888 Oktoberfest. I don't believe I mentioned that had a nice medium mouthfeel to it. This has got a nice medium mouthfeel as well. Very similar. It's just got like this general fall beer taste to it. Hint of roastiness, slightly sweet, maybe some caramel notes. A little bit of smokiness from that burning leaf flavor. And just got this general overall fall beer flavor to it. Maybe a hint of sweetness and smokiness to set it apart. Actually reminds me a lot of Flannel Friday from Harpoon. It's not quite evoking that same wow response that I got from Flannel Friday, though. Comparing it directly to another beer, I usually tend not to do that, but in this particular case, I don't have a lot of descriptors for it. Other than to say it's this generally sweet, slightly smoky fall beer flavor. Hint of spiciness, maybe some cinnamon in the finish. But it does remind me overall in character of Flannel Friday from Harpoon, but it's not quite wowing me as much as that did. So I'm hitting this with a 3.5 out of 5. It's a very solid, very well put together beer. There's just nothing distinguishing it from the field for me from the other fall beers. So I will try to say this once, and once only right here. On a scale of 1 to 5, a 2.5 is average. So a 3.5 is a nice, decent above average beer. Just not blowing me away. But it's damn good. So I'm going to move on through this one, finish it up, cleanse with some water, and then we will be back to check out Black Forest. Alright, so number 3 is the Black Forest Black Lager. Oh, just says black beer, sorry. Not necessarily a black lager, but a black beer. And it is exclusive to the German Roots 12 pack. So, like I said before, I might have done the German Roots 12 pack before. I'm Not sure if I've ever actually put it on film before, but yeah. Don't know if I've had this beer before or not. I'd have to go back through my Untapped history and look. By the way, I don't mention this on well, really any videos, but if you look on Untapped, you can find me as the Mighty Plantain. Hit me up there. Love to talk to you guys about beer on Untapped. Nothing I like more than seeing people on my YouTube channel tag me in posts for beers that I cannot get around here and making me jealous. You know who you are. Seriously, thanks. I like seeing beers, but I really wish I had more options around here, because I hate seeing regional and local beers from other parts of the country and not being able to get them because you guys make them sound so damn good sometimes. But anyway, Black Forest. It's actually more of a brownish color. There's a lot of light coming through that. Bit of a reddish tinge to it, though. I know the lighting in here is horrible, like I said before, so you probably can't see it on camera. But it's actually kind of reminiscent of a Black Forest cake. It's got that slightly reddish tinge, mostly brown, but pretty dark. Reminds me of that fruity Black Forest cake. Yes, Black Forest cake does have a fruit component. I could be totally wrong about that. I believe it does. Anyway, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Hit me up down in the comments, email link below. Tell me I'm an idiot, or tell me I'm right. But yeah, slightly reddish tinged brownish ale, but it is quite dark. There's very little light coming through, but that's the only reason I see the reddish brownish tinge, is because of that slight bit of light coming through. Not very effervescent. There are no bubbles coming up from that nucleation point. And it does. It has a chocolatey, fruity aroma, reminiscent of Black Forest cake. I don't know if it's supposed to be or not, or if Black Forest cake is even supposed to have a fruity component. This is a true German-style Schwarzbier, named for the original homeland of our founder, who emigrated from the Black Forest region. Now that's cool. Nice little history on the beer itself, but it doesn't tell me if I'm right or wrong about the Black Forest thing. I do believe Black Forest cake is a dark chocolate flavor with a slight hint of fruitiness, but that's what I'm getting the aroma of this beer, is a mostly chocolate aroma, but with a slight hint of fruitiness, some kind of berry. Oh, it's got a nice medium heavy mouthfeel. Toasty and chocolatey up front. A slightly sweet, fruity finish. With a hint of bitterness. Not necessarily a hoppy bitterness, just like a roasty bitterness. Maybe some coffee notes there, but mostly chocolate with a hint of sweet fruitiness. Yeah, that bitterness in the finish has got a bit of coffee overtone to it. I'm going to do this with a 3.5 out of 5. It's a nice solid beer. It's got a lovely taste that goes right along with the body and the mouthfeel and the description. It's exactly what I would have expected. It's not quite blowing me away, but that 3.5 is, like I said before, a fairly above average rating. It's a damn good, damn solid beer. I am going to finish this one up, and we will go on to the 1888 Pilsner. Let's see how that stacks up. Alright, and finally we are up to the 1888 Pils, and the only reason a Pilsner is after an Oktoberfest, Das Boot, which is a Vienna-style lager, which is a nice heavy fall beer, and Black Forest, which is a black beer, is because the IBUs on this are 10 higher than all three of these others. So, one thing you normally want to do with any beer lineup is you want to line them up lighter to darker. But when you get into IBUs or the hoppiness of the beer, those should always come last. Your hoppiest beers should always come last. So an IPA versus a stout, IPA should always come after the stout, because bitterness of the hops can overwhelm your palate and wreck it faster than anything else. It's a big mistake that a lot of people make, and even some craft breweries or some local microbreweries will make that mistake. They'll bring you their lineup. If you do a flight of all 6 styles that they have on tap, or all 4 styles they have on tap, they'll line them up light to dark, and they'll have the fucking IPA at the very beginning. It's the lightest colored beer. But you drink that IPA and it wrecks your palate for all the other subtle flavors of the other beers afterwards. So, keep an eye out. The best local breweries, the best microbreweries, will always know to put the IPA last, not first. Anyway, just a little something to consider, to know if your local server knows their shit. It's not necessarily always the brewer's fault, or the brewery's fault. Sometimes it's just the server. Anyway, I'm going to jump off the soapbox here, pour out the 1888 Pils, which has got a higher IBU number than the rest of the beers in this pack, and it is foamier. Definitely got a decent head on that. It is slightly effervescent. Foamed up really good, but there are a lot less bubbles coming up than there were from the original Oktoberfest beer in this pack. It's very light. It's got a nice yellow color to it. Light yellow color to it, but it is somewhat cloudy. Like I said, not very effervescent. It's got a bit of a hoppy aroma to it. Definitely a hoppy Pils. It's got like this light, weedy, lightly grainy aroma with the hoppiness. Not much else coming through. No particular hop esters, just an overall hoppy bitterness. But that's very subtle, and it's mostly got this light, weedy graininess to it. And if I look like I'm freezing my ass off, it's because I kind of am. It's fucking snowing outside. Been keeping this place at 62 degrees in order to keep the heating bill down. I think right now it's 60 degrees. You can hear the heater in the background kicking in to bring it up to 62. At the same time, ironically, the fucking fridge is kicking in to cool off the beer and shit that's in there. Anyway, it's November 10th because it's after midnight and it is fucking snowing outside, which sucks. Hopefully it doesn't accumulate too bad, because I got a house, a double wide, being delivered within the next couple of days, week at the most, hopefully, onto a cement slab that I've got to clear off now. Bad enough there were wet, soaking leaves on there that I had to sweep off. Now I got to shovel the snow too. Wow, I am really off track here. I'm sorry. Alright, we talked about the appearance and the aroma. Let's talk about the taste. Nice medium light mouthfeel. I mean, it's definitely a light lager up front. Bit of a medium light mouthfeel. That weedy aroma translates into a light grainy weedy. It might not necessarily be a wheat base, but it has that weedy taste to it. Nice weedy malt backbone. Light. Yeah. Doesn't say anything about the malt character or what went into it. So I'm guessing wheat, but I could be completely off base. Which fades to, like I said, that nice light weedy flavor, and it fades to an overall hoppy bitterness. Maybe I'm getting some earth tones to it, but not any particular character. I'm not necessarily getting like citrus or pine or floral, just maybe some earthy notes. Earthy with hints of grassy, which is different for me. I usually key towards piney and citrus notes. It's nice, it's solid. There's nothing really standing out for me. I'm going to hit this one with a 3.5 out of 5 as well. So, you know, not great, not bad, slightly above average. Burp. Pardon. Pretty decent beer. So, overall, the German Roots pack has got some really solid offerings. A couple of standouts, but a couple that are just slightly above average. Burp. Ooh, pardon. The hiccups are about to kick in, so I'm going to try and kill them here. There we go. We got a little bit of a technique for getting rid of the hiccups. We've talked about that before, so I'm not going to ramble on about it now, because I've spent way too much time on exposition in this video anyway. So, nice solid offering, a couple of really solid above average beers, a couple that are just slightly above average. Overall, decent 12 pack. You should check out the Saranac German Roots. Hit me up down in the comments and the email link down below. Whether you agree or disagree, I'd like to hear your thoughts on any of these beers or the pack as a whole. While you're down there, don't forget to like and share the video, and make sure to subscribe. Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.